Hi, I'm Tracy L. Fisher. Welcome to AV Entry Point of View, Unapologetic. We're here to talk about freeing Carmen Woods, justice for Carmen Woods.
I don't even know what they call it. Okay, but gang war was still going on. The week before Chester Laws was killed, Felton Street, which was the gang Adam and Holmes was from, went over Winfield for a whole week terrorizing Winfield. Okay, they stabbed at a couple people because a person from Felton Street got killed. So they went over Winfield, 54th Street, terrorizing 54th Street. And you know what happened? 54th Street came back at Felton Street. But because Homer felt shame that the young boy from that Carmen Homer from beat him up, his reputation was kind of damaged. So he didn't like Carmen or any of his friends from that point on, you know, most other things.
Now, Carmen was the one he really didn't like for them to finger him personally.
That's right. Carmen was the one that he really didn't like because Carmen wasn't taking that bullying stuff.
Right, absolutely.
He wasn't taking that. But the whole thing is that trying to get Mr. Lane in the court, he wouldn't do that. He'd say, I'll do a video, I'll do whatever you want, but I'm not going to court. Because he knew if he go to court, that would be, he'll go to jail. So, where we're stuck at, regardless of all the issues that my brother put on this here paper and trying, where we're stuck at and what we're trying to get is that recanting statement, which is one of the biggest things that tell you that he didn't do it. Right. So he's been in jail for 38 years, and we have a recanting statement that we can't even do nothing with. So the court is telling us all the stuff that you have to come back with evidence, stuff like that. The evidence is in the man's word.
Exactly. Because they took his word to convict him.
And they should take his word to free him.
Exactly.
Because that's where all this stuff started from. So I want everybody to, if you haven't, please take a look at that video that we did, okay? And that
tell them where they can get that video at, though. Because you have a lot of videos.
JusticeForCarmen.com. You can go onto Carmen's website. It's a nice website, JusticeForCarmen.com. We're constantly working on it, and it has a lot of information out there. We're going to update and put some more information out there. So if you can go to, it's JusticeForCarmen.com.
Also, let me add to this. Channel 6 Action News was going to do a story on this. And the only reason why they dropped this story, because they put it on the shelf, is because they wanted to be able to solve the murder.
Right.
So if they couldn't solve the murder, because Dan Quaylaw spent quite a few weeks, and he did come in the neighborhood, he talked to quite a few people. So that was a good thing. And I got the bad news is they dropped it, they put it on the shelf. Okay? Because if they can't solve it, they couldn't air it. And that was the only reason, from what I was told, of why they put it on the side.
Right. And what year was this?
This was around, I think it was 89, 90, somewhere around there. Okay, it was right after the Camp Hill riot, a month after the Camp Hill riot.
Oh, that was like 89.
Yeah, because when they had the Camp Hill riots, right, which y'all know was when they brought the state troopers in up to Camp Hill, they state troopers, you're talking about systemic racial injustice. That stuff been there. Let's just put a new word on it. But when those state troopers came to Camp Hill, they did a lot of horrible stuff to these inmates up there. I mean, they beat them down bad, stuff like that. We went up there, busload of us went up there, we tried to get with all the politicians and stuff like that. It was just certain politicians that did help us out to stop the beatings and all that stuff. So I think it was in 1990, somewhere around there, early 1990s, we did the video with Dan Quaylaw.
So let me ask you this, to your knowledge, best of your knowledge, where Carmen sits yet now, as far as the court system is concerned, as far as appeals and stuff?
I'm gonna be straight up with you. We still at day one with this. No matter how many times we tried to get in court, they come back and shoot us down for this ridiculous stuff. So basically, we still at ground one. And we did a lot of petitions and stuff like that. We had a lot of people come in to try to testify. He still have people now that's older in life. This is 38 years old. This is how strong of an innocent person he is. He still have people today that's willing to testify. Okay? And not only that, what man would spend 38 in jail, right? They will give him a deal. But if he ain't doing it, I ain't do that, I'm not pleading guilty to nothing. 38 years. That goes to show you the strength of this.
Absolutely.
Okay, Carmen said, I'm not going to let, if I have to spend the rest of my life in jail, I'm fighting. But we don't want him to spend the rest of his life in jail. We want him to come home. He should be home. I mean, you have people that's out here just doing some crazy stuff. And don't forget, in Philadelphia, used to have, they call hanging judges and stuff like that. They were just racist judges. They was proud to be called those names. They was racist judges. And all that stuff that went on in Carmen's trial was just a corrupt trial. And we're trying to get a fair trial with him now. Okay, so that's what we asking for. We asking for a fair trial. Look at the evidence. Look at Homer Lane recant the statement because it is on. At least we got it twice. Mitchell Strutton, that was the first attorney we did it with. The first time we did it on video was with Mitchell Strutton. Unfortunately, somebody forgot to. We have it on there, but it's not clear. Somebody forgot to turn the camera on and adjust it, but you still can see some of it.
Yeah.
And you can hear it.
And you can hear it. But the second time was with Dan Quaylaw.
It's very good.
Okay. Not only that, I think between 1990, 1994, somewhere around those years, Homer Lane was willing to sit down with anybody that we could put in front of him, right? And ain't nobody forced him to do nothing. He did this on his own.
Now tell the audience now, what happened to Homer Lane?
What I heard, he ended up dying.
He had cancer or something.
And how long ago was that?
Okay. How long ago?
About 3 years.
A few years.
No, about 2 years.
About
Okay,
a couple years.
not 3. Yeah.
Okay.
But that's, to cut everything short, but that's what basically happened.
Okay. So what we have up next, we're going to bring up Carmen Woods' daughter. She want to say a few things, speak about her father's behalf, because he's been out of her life all her life, and she deserves to have her father back and deserves to be heard.
All right. You all right? Good.
Hello. I don't know if I'm loud enough. I'm a little shy. So they gave you a brief background on the case and everything like that as far as Carmen Woods is concerned. I just want to give you guys a general idea of the type of person he is. My dad was labeled a criminal at the early age. I don't know if I should go into all that, but
at his age.
At an early age because of the injustice criminal system. Because of that, sorry y'all, I told you I'm nervous. Because of that, he missed out on a lot of opportunities. I missed out on the opportunity to get to know my dad on different levels because I was only able to have brief conversations with him through phone calls, through visits. Right now we in 2020, so via Zoom, etc., etc. Despite all of that, my dad has played a major role in my life, as well as my brother's life, as well as my daughter's life now growing up. I can remember times growing up, almost every other week, just a baby. My dad was working, sending money home so that way I could just have spending money in my pocket. My dad took me my first soror and many sorors after that. Every time I just needed somebody to talk to, I could always remember calling my dad and he was there. And if he couldn't be there, I have a bunch of family behind me that was able to fill his place, that he made sure that that place was filled. When I went to college, my dad gave me my first care package, which meant so much to me because it was just a different, I felt him there with me even though he couldn't be there. I didn't know how much I was affected by the absence of my father until my teenage years when, as a teenager, you go through so many different things. I joined a program, it was called the FACT program. And I was able to have one-on-one time with my dad. And that was the first time in my life that I was able to, prior to now being an adult, having one-on-one time. And I got to know my dad on a different level. And I got to express to my dad how much him missing out affected me. And I got to realize that. And then shortly after that program, my dad broke down to me and told me how much he feels the void of not actively being there, even though I didn't feel it because he was always there. If you ask me, just wasn't next to me, but he always played a part in my life and now my daughter's life. To me, if you ask me, my dad is the definition of a stand-up guy. He does not hide from his responsibilities. He does not make any excuses, and he's 100% honest. As you can see, everybody in this room, this is only a fraction of his support, is here because of the type of person he is. There's plenty of people who are actually out in the world terrorizing things, and my dad is far from that type of person. My dad is a leader more than anything, and because the injustice system, as I said in the beginning, wanted to make an example of a black man, there's millions of people behind him that's affected and that's continuing to be affected because of it. So I didn't miss out because, like I said, my dad was always there for me. But we need to bring him home because we're working on the next generation. My nieces couldn't be here right now, but my daughter is here, and all of them, I don't think he had any grandsons yet, but all of his granddaughters, they need him here to give what we was missing out on, and et cetera, and et cetera. I'm tired for words right now because.
Well, that's a powerful statement. I'm gonna tell you why. As a person that served 22 years and had 3 daughters, that I wasn't home to be able to guide them, and I see my absence in them and some of their decision making, which you were saying.
Right.
Right, sometimes it takes time for you to get a letter from him or you go visiting. Sometimes you needed that right then and there, phone call, hands on. And my children are grown now and they still reach out. So I understand, and everybody, especially every man in this room, felt that, you know, you missing your father, and especially for him to be incarcerated on a crime that he literally did not do. So that's like a double bubble, because he's missing out literally on being able to hold his grandchildren. That's why I never asked for the children to be moved from the room or don't keep them quiet. No, this is reality right here. This is his family. This is his loved ones. This is his granddaughter sitting here with a taffy doing baby talk. This is what he's missing. And when you incarcerated, for those that was ever incarcerated, this is the stuff you daydream about. To be around you don't daydream about no money, none of that stuff. You daydream about coming home and being productive, well, you should anyway, and being in your family life. And especially as a man, when you have a daughter out here and she's around the way these males think today, the way they act today and behave today, and their outlook on life and their perception of life. So when you go see him, he's always dropping jewels on you because he wants you to understand. Pay attention. Pay attention. Watch where you step in at. Don't fall for the smile. This is what's going on right now. So as him being a father, and he's looking at you, and you might not know it or not, but he's talking to his sister. Keep an eye on her. Make sure she's cool. I don't even have to be there, because I know every man in this room right now felt what you had to say, literally, about missing your father. So you can start off on that.
I'm gonna end on saying this. I was just telling somebody the other day, they was telling me, oh, you don't know the mindset of a person incarcerated, this, that, and the third. They go through, and I want to say, as long as I've been in this world, knowing my dad, and I know he go through left and right, like you said, just sitting back thinking, like, Dad, what's happening? I give him a headache. I give him a headache all the time. He tell me all the time. But I've never heard my dad speak negative. I've never heard of him saying to give up. I've never heard anything. As a matter of fact, when I was a child, my dad used to do little video recording and podcasts, but one poem that he used to tell me that I would never forget, it was, never give up. Never give up on your dreams. Stay focused on the day, and if at first you don't succeed, then find another way. Don't ever say you can't when you know you surely can, because the solution to every problem is a well-delivered plan. So do your very best and everything you can do, because where you stand in the future is entirely up to you. And with that poem, I will say that my dad lives by that, because him knowing he's an innocent man, he's staying positive and everything, all he's doing is fighting for him to come home to his family. And that's the goal that we want today. Thank you, guys.
ready?
Okay. But then it's gonna be.
Right. Introduce yourself.
Hello, my name is Carmen Woods. I'm the sister of Carmen Woods. What I want to say is Carmen, I'm a piggyback. Carmen's been in jail for 38 years for a crime that he did not commit. He, as his daughter said, I go to visit him a lot. And when I go visit him, he has a good spirit. If you don't have a good spirit, he'll make you have a good spirit. Because that's the kind of man he is. He loves his family. I remember one day I was out doing town watch. And when I was doing town watch, it was on 56 and Lansdowne. I ran into Homer Lane. And I tried to ignore him. But he came up to me and he was like, "That nigga still in jail?" I thought he was out. This is after Carmen did 10 years. You know, I held myself back. I couldn't say nothing to him. There's a lot of people know that Carmen is innocent. A lot of people in this neighborhood. Because this is where Carmen grew up at. People are getting older now. You know, and we need the people that knows that Carmen didn't do this to come out. Say something. When I was reading the article that was written, it says that people keep their mouth shut, you know. I understand that. But it's time for Carmen to come home. It's time for you to open your mouth up. As she said about Adam Green, I was looking at that as well. Adam Green sat there just as proud and said, "No, Homer Lane lied. Homer Lane was with me in North Philly. And I dropped him off at 8 o'clock that morning." Then he changed it and said 6, I think something like that. So where's the justice for my brother? You understand? I read in one of the statements as well that one of the jurors talked to Chester Law's son. Well, the judge didn't do anything about that. They were supposed to call a mistrial or something. Nothing happened. I just want justice for Carmen. I want my brother to be home. I want him to be able to be comfortable. He's older now. He needs to be home with his family. And that is what I want. And I'm pretty sure everybody in this room wants the same thing for my brother. So, I'm going to leave off in saying, justice for Carmen.
Okay. Yes. Want me to start?
Yes.
All right. First and foremost,
Your name is?
my name is Johnny Berry. I met Carmen about maybe over 15 years ago in a state correctional institution. I was much younger then. I served life sentence. I had a life sentence. And the reason why I'm here today is because I support my brothers who are convicted for crimes they had absolutely nothing to do with. I took time out of my day to come here to speak on his behalf and show my support because, like him, there are a string of individuals who are incarcerated for things they didn't do. I don't know all of the particulars concerning his case, but I know that he's never let go of the fact that he is innocent. He's proclaimed that since I've known him, and since his inception into that prison. What I would like to say, next to everything that everybody has already spoken on, is that this is one of the reasons why it's important in Pennsylvania for the legislatures to enact a bill to release individuals from serving life without the possibility of parole. Right now, you've got about 5,600 people in Pennsylvania, about approximately 5,600 individuals serving life without the possibility of parole, And most people I come in contact with don't know what that really means. What that means is you are sentenced to die in prison. It's death by incarceration. So individuals like Carmen, who is sitting in jail for something they didn't do, still proclaiming, still fighting, still trying to get out. You know, if there's a bill in place, he got over 25, 30 years in. He would have seen the parole board, and then, based on the case, which is no evidence against him, based on his prison record, outstanding, based on his character, based on the support of his family, just a fraction of it, this man will be allowed to come home. You know, so let that be something of consideration for the legislatures, the people that we put in place, to put forth our issues, the issues that concern us. You know, so I don't want to take too much time. I just want to say that and let my presence be known. And free Carmen Woods.
And on that note, right, we're going to bring up my man Anthony. But what I'm going to say is this: for those that was incarcerated, you know what I'm about to say. But for those that wasn't incarcerated, hear what I'm about to say. When you incarcerated, you come across a variety of individuals, okay? And in there, they don't pray for you, they pray on you, okay? So you get to meet different characters from all over the world, all walks of life. But you know an innocent one when you meet one too. I was guilty of sin, and I'm innocent. They laugh. We laugh, keep it moving. But you know an innocent one because there's a certain demeanor and there's a certain characteristics that they display, even when everybody else around them is angry. They still have this like a glow around them because they hang their hat on, I'm innocent. And I really shouldn't be here, and God willing, inshallah, it's going to come out, and I'll come home. That's why you don't see quit in Carmen Woods, because Carmen Woods understand literally, I did not do this, so this can't be my fate. So I'm there right now. This is his personal conversation. I'm here now to help guide others until it's time for me to come home. But I would never stop fighting. Those his words. And that was inspiration to me, and I was already home. Like, really, wow. So I understand that. So for those that never been incarcerated, when you find yourself talking to somebody, they know I'm innocent, it's certain ways you can tell a person that's innocent, and one is their demeanor. And the other one is the support system that they have. And here's one thing that's made me upset with the district attorney and stuff, right? Not the previous one, but the ones before them. They know for a fact in the community who did what. They know snitches and everything else going on. They know for a fact. So when they come knocking on your door 2, 3 in the morning, they got a CI when you get the documentation. A CI told them you was in, whatever, right? Just like they know for a fact that Carmen Woods did not commit that crime, but yet they stay in silence. And that's what I have a problem with. When you know it's an innocent man, literally, that's incarcerated, and yet nothing is being done about it. So as a community, we got to do it on our own. We done tried with the courts, we done did all that other stuff. So now we got to apply that pressure, but we got to come together under one umbrella, keep your identity, but we got to move out as a team. We can't be calling y'all saying, we need to go protest this and everybody got something to do. But if your son was in jail or you was in jail, you would want somebody to be fighting for you. Carmen ain't sitting there serving life. He ain't got time to be worrying about you got to go to the hairdresser. Or you got to go run and get your phone screen cracked. We ain't got time for all that. That man been there since 1982. Enough is enough. So when we say move out, this whole this room should be so filled up, it's supposed to have stretch marks on the wall. We ain't got time for that no more. So when we want to start a movement, free Carmen, justice for Carmen, this is where it started at, right here, right now. Under a new guidance, a new movement. This is everybody get involved. Because if you don't, right, see these beautiful kids right here? It's going to happen to them. You got to shut it down and stop it somewhere.
First of all, it is an honor for me to be here in support of Carmen and trying to do some of the investigation that wasn't done on his behalf. My name is A.T. McNeil Sr. I'm a minister and press investigator. We also do family trust to establish the rights that everyone believed we had, but the paperwork doesn't show it. So we try to do that paperwork. Soon as they arrest you, whether it's good, bad, fraudulent, a mistake that needs to be corrected, we have to go back to the beginning. And in the beginning of Carmen's arrest, he had a right to sign his own bond to be released, and any debt that was alleged to be owed by the Commonwealth under Court Rule 524C 1, 2, and 3 deals with a signature bond. And in that rule, it allows the defendant, the accused, the right to sign his own bond. That means that Carmen would have been out and been able to seek witnesses on his behalf. If he was somewhere else, then he had an alibi witness that was denied. If he had a right to do this, that, and the other, when you hire a lawyer, a counselor at law, his job is to counsel you in the law and make sure that you receive due process and equal protection. My investigation of the record showed that Carmen Woods was denied due process and equal protection. Now he has been injured under Article 1, Section 11 of the Declaration of Rights, which gives every man and woman a right. It states courts to be open, suits against the Commonwealth. If he maintained his innocence from day one, he had a right to counterclaim the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania. Since his attorney, whose job was to turn over Carmen to the Criminal Justice Center under the Commonwealth law, then he was denied due process and equal protection. I'm going to keep saying that because the United States Supreme Court and the Commonwealth Supreme Court stated that if an individual was denied due process and equal protection and he is now rehabilitated, which Carmen, when I talked to him on the phone, he professes, and I believe in my heart that he is rehabilitated and ready to come home. Under Article 1, Section 11, which we as a people, before we learned one God, we knew peace. During the 60s, the 70s, and 80s, when we greeted each other, we would say peace. Article 1, Section 11 of the Declaration of Rights of the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania says all courts shall be open, and every man for an injury done him in his land, his goods, his person, or his reputation shall have remedy by due course of law and right and justice administered without sale, denial, or delay. We're here today gathering as family, friends, and the community to say that we want Carmen Woods released immediately without sale, denial, or delay. It says suits may be brought against the Commonwealth in such manner and in such courts and in such cases as the legislature may direct. When you sue the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, you must sue them in the Commonwealth Court. Now the Commonwealth Court is the court that gives remedy under the Constitution. And if they refuse that, then we can go to the Supreme Court or the United States Court of Federal Claims. Because in a lot of the cases where people don't exercise due process and demand equal protection, they can be denied this right. But when you go with a claim, most judges will dismiss the case, which I'm sure Carmen's cases was dismissed for failure to state a claim upon which relief can be granted. Under the Commonwealth, the employees, the agents, officers, they cannot work for the state and the city without being bonded by an insurer. So if they cause you an injury, which Carmen Woods and family and close friends have been subject to a violation of their constitutional right. What do you mean constitutional rights? A right to be given due process and equal protection, and a right to sign his own bond. Now Rule 524, C1, 2, and 3 says every man has a right to sign his own bond, to make the bond. I got somebody out of jail that was possibly doing life in prison but he was high at the time, drunk. He didn't willfully commit a crime. So many of us during the 70s and 80s and 90s and 2000s, we were drinking, smoking, taking mind-altering drugs. Under the Robinson versus California, which cite is 370 U.S. 660, specifically says if an individual is on alcohol, drugs, or suffering from a mental illness, they should not be punished nor sent to prison, but given rehab. After 90 days, all charges to be dismissed. This is the United States Supreme Court ruling in Robinson versus California. Then there's an order that we have now that's going to be filed on Carmen's behalf. It says, and now upon consideration for bail bond pursuant to Pennsylvania Court Rule 524C1, which is ROR, bail, and Rule 524C1, 2 and 3, which says the petitioner has a right to sign his own bond, make his own bond in any amount, and assign it over to the Commonwealth. It says the petitioner, defendant, benefit of agreeing to appear when ordered by the court and to obey the law of the land and to stay crime-free while out on bond. It is hereby granted that the defendant shall be allowed to sign on bond for immediate release. Defendant shall also seek treatment for his or her drug, alcohol, and mental illness pursuant to Supreme Court order in the Robinson versus California 670 U.S. And then we had the Murdoch versus Pennsylvania, where the Jews, the Christians, the Jehovah's Witnesses, and the Quakers sued the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania in matters where they were unlawfully taxing them. So in Carmen's behalf, he was denied due process and equal protection. He is now rehabilitated and ready to come home. And in this thing, it talks about Carmen Woods having a right to counterclaim the Commonwealth, which was a delay on the part of his attorney for failure to counterclaim. Because if you're innocent and you maintain you're innocent and you don't counterclaim, you have agreed that you are guilty and liable for everything that they are falsely charging you with. But in Pennsylvania, the Commonwealth, it talks about all criminal prosecutions shall be by indictment of a grand jury. My investigation showed that Carmen Woods and many others have not been indicted by a grand jury in the legislature that is supposed to be chosen by the people, for the people, to help benefit the people, cannot change this. So Carmen's record, according to my investigation and the court's records, show that Carmen Woods was not indicted by a grand jury and that he is now sitting in jail, rehabilitated and ready to come home. And we, the people, family, friends, and community, will put up a petition where people can sign and a bond, guaranteeing his release and that he will not commit any crimes in violation of the law of the land, which is the treaty, which the Constitution says is the supreme law of the land. So it's time for Carmen to come home. We're sending copies of this to every justice of the Supreme Court and the Commonwealth Court. The judge, whether he's dead or alive, and the replacement of the judge, the DA, Krasner, who was a defense lawyer, and we're asking that he be released immediately, and we're putting up a bond for his release, which warrants release. I thank you for listening, and I pray, because we must enter a prayer, that Carmen Woods be released immediately, and that all of this mistreatment that he continued to go to be put behind, and that it is like a bad dream for him. Because when I came home from unlawful incarceration, now it seems like I was never in jail, that it was always a bad dream. So I thank you for listening, and may God grant us the relief that we ask and the prayers that we make in releasing Brother Carmen Woods immediately. Thank you.
And I want to thank everybody for coming. I'm Tracy L. Fisher. This is a reentry point of view, unapologetic, because I have 60th and Lansdowne out here, where Carmen Woods is from. And his family is here, his sisters, his brothers, his children, grandchildren, friends, associates, everybody that has mad love for Carmen. But everybody have two things in common in this room. One, we all love Carmen, and two, we all know that he's innocent. And the reason we standing here right now is to tell everybody else out there he's innocent, because this is a new movement right now. Justice for Carmen. We're not playing any games right now. We're not looking for nobody to give us power, because power is taken and not given. So we're going to take the power back, and we're going to go and present it to those that it needs to be presented to, so we can get Carmen home. Justice for Carmen. Yeah.
Thank you for everyone coming out. What I want to say is not only family and friends are here to help, we're asking the public to help us to free Carmen. We want the public to get involved. Help us with Carmen Woods.
Yes.
Justice for Carmen.
Yes.
Justice for Carmen. Justice for Carmen.com.